Well, thank you for joining me today. So today we're talking about your experience with the COVID-19 pandemic, living in Red Bluff, and what that was like for you. And we're interested, we heard that you were getting your teaching credential during that time. Can you share a little bit about that experience and what that was like during the pandemic?
I had actually only just started my first semester of the program. I was supposed to actually do a presentation the next day in one of the classes, teaching a lesson. And then we get the call, no more in class, it's all going online. And I was like, what? And so we did Zoom as much as we could. That was really hard because when I'm on a computer and looking at that, I get so distracted easily. I mean, you're learning how to be a teacher pretty much. It was just so hard.
What was it like homeschooling kids of different ages during the pandemic?
One of the stories I remember the most from it, my oldest, she decided she would have her Zoom class in her bedroom because at that time too, they had all day Zoom. So she went in her room to have her Zoom, and then I had the other two out in my living room, and the 7-year-old, she had her PE time, and that was just time to get up and dance. They played music and she got up and danced, so she's in the living room dancing around. My 10-year-old, she's just looking at her the whole time instead of paying attention to her Zoom, and they were all asking me for help. I'm like, I cannot help you all at the same time. It was a struggle.
That would be challenging for sure. How was it for the teachers? Did they kind of understand that there were lots of kids trying to do school at the same time?
So some did, and then some did get annoyed with the kids being distracted and stuff, and I just had to be like, hey, this is what's going on over here. My oldest, she was in 5th grade. And for 5th graders, they did this cool thing where they let them drive up through the school, and their teacher gave them a little prize, a goodbye thing. So it was just some little drive-by. It was really cool though. The kids got to say goodbye to their teacher in person and get a little something from it. So.
What would you say was one of the biggest lessons that you learned during the pandemic as it relates to raising kids?
I would say preparedness. Prepare yourself for the fact that they might not even get it. I, as an adult, was having a hard time on Zoom. So I should think, okay, these kids, they're gonna be on Zoom. If I have a hard time, how are they gonna be? Kind of learn to just not expect more than what I would expect of me. And that's something I think a lot of teachers should think about.
So you talked about being a caretaker during the pandemic. Can you share a little bit about what that experience was like for you?
At that time, I was taking care of 2 different people, 2 different clients, and it's in their own homes. They were older. One of them was 97. My client who was 97, she loved being out in the community. She had meetings. She went to every week lunches. She was pretty active, but she had slight dementia. When she wasn't able to go out and keep to her routine, that was something that caused her dementia to really go down. She just went so far down from there. In November of 2020, she passed away. She didn't get COVID and pass away, but she still passed away because of COVID. It was very hard because before that, I could see her reaching 100, and she would talk about it all the time. She really took care of herself, and it just saddened me that stopping her routine and not letting her really be able to go anywhere caused her to go sooner than she should have. Every time I think about it, I'm just like, she would still be here.
Man, yeah, that's really hard.
Yeah, I couldn't think of anything that was a bigger problem with isolation. I mean, people are not meant to be isolated.
Did the COVID-19 virus impact you and your immediate family at all?
I did get close to losing my uncle. He was in it pretty bad, was put on the breathing machines and everything, was in a coma, but he pulled through. I can always happily say that it didn't really affect us in the way that it did some of the other people.
How did you feel that Tehama County changed during the pandemic?
I would say Tehama County changed in a way that I feel like most places changed. We couldn't go everywhere that we could before. We were even sent out papers that if we had a job that we had to get to, that's the only reason we could leave our house, and we had to carry that paper with us everywhere. It was crazy, and I was not even prepared for how people thought that toilet paper was a need.
The pandemic wasn't a great experience. Were there any positive things that came from it?
They got that vaccine faster than I think they've gotten any vaccines before. They knew this was something we needed the vaccine, and so they were on top of getting it done. And they did it in pretty good time, and that I think is a positive thing.
How can small communities, rural communities like Red Bluff, stay resilient in times of disaster?
Have an action plan in place for the whole town, make sure everyone knows what's going on, and communicating with the whole county is what would be really important. In small areas, you really do see that everyone starts to come together and help out each other. And that help and the togetherness is what we need to get through disasters like COVID. If we're just patient and prepared ahead of time and we have a good plan, that's a good lesson we can learn. When you're dealing with disasters, you really need to take a step back and look at the whole situation and don't panic. Panicking is the worst thing you can do in a disaster. So just stay calm and we'll get through it.